All right, so talk about some baseball. So talk about the two trades that went down last week. So one thing that I will say first, though, I want to start off with saying with the MLB is I don't get this. So we had a trade deadline, make a big deal about trade deadline, but weeks go by and I still continue to see people leaving teams, big names. Like what kind of trade deadline is this? Like it's almost like we have this trade deadline, like this fake trade deadline, and then like okay, this is like all right, we're actually having our trade deadline in 3 weeks, so like go ahead and start making trades now, and then the 3 weeks that lead up to the last day that you can make your postseason, the last day that you make your postseason, like roster is like August 31st. So basically the real trade deadline is August 31st because you can't add anybody after that date, but you can add anybody up to that date. So basically I feel like these owners, like they finagle the system or whatever, and then so they add people even after the All-Star break. Or not the All-Star break, the trade deadline. So basically there's not even a real trade deadline because after the trade deadline, we had the trade deadline where Darvish went at the deadline and like Sonny went like 2 hours before the deadline. That was a while ago. Now we've had people like Yonder Alonso go to Seattle. We've seen Mike Leake go to Seattle. And then last week, we saw Brandon Phillips and we saw Justin Upton go to the Angels. Now, let's talk about these trades for a minute. This is more than like, what do you think about these trades? This is more of like, this is saying, as an Angel, we are putting the money down to make a stride this year. We want to make a stride this year. Seattle, we want to make a stride this year. They're trying to make strides this year. They want to make the playoffs this year. And when you talk about a team like, the thing about Houston is just so dumb. We've been hearing that they need to get Verlander. They need an ace. They need an ace since the trade deadline. And it's like, oh, well, looks like the Astros aren't going to do anything. Looks like they decided they're not going to go for Verlander, da-da-da. And then let me tell you about as the night of Verlander's getting traded. They go, the Tigers and the Astros have a deal in place. As long as Verlander agrees to go to goes to the Astros, then the deal is done. And then like, the Astros, they sent like 3 all right prospects, like nothing like ridiculous, like crazy prospects. They sent 3 good prospects, like guys that are playing like high A ball, double A ball, like guys that aren't ready yet. But the thing about it was Verlander declined the trade, and then 3 minutes before the supposed deadline is up, he decides to go ahead and accept the trade. And my thing that's so funny is like you could have had Verlander for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, for a lot longer than you if you would have just made the trade at the trade deadline. Or my thing is why is all this going on now? And then my other thing is I think it's so cute that all due respect to all the people with the Hurricane Harvey and all that, but I think it's funny how we're getting Verlander at the same time of all this. Not saying, these relief efforts are paying for Verlander, but the thing that's funny is that was the big deal was Verlander. We don't have enough money for Verlander. And then we just don't have enough money for Verlander. Like we just don't have the money on the books to sign Verlander. But then all of a sudden, our postseason roster is about to come out and we sign Verlander. Like I just think I think it's funny how, MLB has been talking about Verlander going to the Astros since the trade deadline. And then, all of a sudden on the last day that you can get Verlander, they get Verlander. I don't know. It's one of those things like, I feel like I'm bitching right now, or like I sound like I'm bitching. I'm more of just like, I don't understand the thought process for the Astros. I don't understand the thought process for Justin Verlander to say, no, I don't want to go. I'm not waiving my trade clause. And then boom, going 30 minutes later saying, I waived my trade clause and I'm going to go to Houston and hopefully we can win a ring now. And like, my thing is Dallas Keuchel and McCullers wasn't going to get it done in the postseason. They had to add an ace, and then they add one. And it's like, if they don't win, and the thing is, I don't see them winning. Have you seen how the Indians have been playing lately? I already, at the All-Star break, I said the Indians were going to win. And that was when Kluger wasn't even playing that well. Kluber wasn't playing well. Their offense was all right. And now look at this team. This team is back to the Indians that they were last year. I know they've won 11 in a row. Don't get too crazy about a team when they're on a hot streak. But shit, have you watched the Indians play lately? The Red Sox can't mess with them. The Yankees can't mess with them. I mean, those are like, you knew the Yankees couldn't mess with them. But the fact that the Red Sox can't even mess with them, Sale gets destroyed by the Indians. If I'm the Astros, I am looking ahead to the Indians. The Indians are the team to watch out for in the American League. Not just because they're on a hot streak right now, but because they have been the most consistent team in the second half of the year. Astros, I know the Astros dealt with injuries, and I know the Astros have already had the division locked up, so okay, we don't care. But the Astros, if they limp into the playoffs the way they've been playing the second half, they might not even get out of the series with the Yankees. Now, here's another thing to talk about. So, Red Sox are up 3.5 games on the Yankees now. That's to me, that's good. This last weekend for the Yankees, winning the 3 out of 4 out of the series was absolutely tremendous. We finally beat Sale. We've had a couple games where we've hit Sale. We've got some good hits on Sale, and then we fucking lose it late. Chapman fucks up, or Sale gets loose. Well, this didn't happen today. Servino pitched a damn good game, and I mean this Sunday game was huge because if we would have split 2-2, we're 4.5 games back. Fuck it, we're done. 3.5 games back, 2-game winning streak. We have Baltimore. This is a huge series against Baltimore. Tomorrow, or I think that's today. We play Baltimore today. Huge series. Throughout the end of the year. But okay, so other things to talk about in the American League. Minnesota has been on an absolute tear. I wrote the Twins off. But I wrote the Twins off whenever Buxton wasn't doing anything, Sano wasn't doing anything, Rosario wasn't doing anything. When their team was not hitting well at all, when they're trading away all their pitchers, when Barros is getting destroyed at the mound. Now, this team knocks the socks off of people. Like, they score so many fucking runs. They scored 17 runs on the Kansas City the other day. If Minnesota creeps into the playoffs and they play the Yankees that game 1, I am not happy. I am very, very unhappy because, first off, Minnesota has completely sold everything. They said, yeah, you can have fucking Jaime Garcias. Yeah, fucking Washington, take our closer. You can have him. They've traded. Sano has hit the DL. Buxton missed a couple of games last week. But they are playing tremendous. They're good on the road. They're really not that great at home. They have a losing record at home. Isn't that crazy? But I like Minnesota. If there's a team that I want to creep into the playoffs and make some noise, it's Minnesota. I can see Minnesota winning against the Yankees, and I can see Minnesota giving Houston all they can have. I don't see them winning or nothing, but I can see them throwing a little wrench in it. Kansas City has hit, and they're done. They're going to be selling this offseason. Their whole team, I think, is going to be all on different teams next year. That whole Hosmer and Moose and Perez and Kane and all them guys, they're all going to get separated, hopefully. Brandon Moss, Gordon, separate them. The one guy I will say that I really like for Kansas City is that Murfield guy. He is a good player, 2-hit wit. Let's see here. Baltimore. I didn't talk about. We're done with Tampa. Fuck Tampa. We're done with Toronto. They're both done. We don't care. Baltimore's played really good lately. 8-2 in their last 10. I really like Baltimore offensively. Chris Davis, Scope, Machado, Jones. Their pitching is atrocious, though. Their pitching is a big issue. That's the reason I don't think they're going to make it. But their offense is deadly. If they can continue to win, they can win a couple of these games against the Yankees. If they can stay right there. Now, when we talk about the West, we talk about Astros 30 games over 500, won 4 in a row, playing the fucking Mets, and I think they won a game against Texas. This deadlock that we have in the West, the Angels, Seattle, and Texas and Seattle right there. Seattle's won 3 in a row. Looks like Seattle's back on a hot streak. So we'll see them creep up into the wild card standings. They're over 500, so we can talk about them. I don't like talking about teams if they're not over 500. Texas is at 500. They won the game against the Angels yesterday. They've had 2 series against the Angels in the last couple weeks, and I think they've gotten the better of them twice. They're still a half a game out of the Angels. They're going to be right there too. Rangers, Mariners, Angels, Twins. We fucking throw the Royals in there. They're only a game under 500. And then Baltimore. It's going to be right there. And, we can go ahead and throw the Yankees in there, too. The Yankees are up, 2 games now? They're only up 2 games on the Twins. Huge series. And the thing about the Yankees, too, I looked at their schedule. They have a series against Minnesota. They have a series against Baltimore. They have a series against Texas. They have a series against Tampa Bay. I think they have a series against Toronto. They're playing a lot of these wild card type teams. And it's either going to make them or it's either going to break them. Either they're going to stride out or they're not. One thing I really like that the Yankees have done, though, is they got to play the Red Sox. They got to play the Indians, too, with Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez is supposed to face 4-game suspension. He hadn't faced it yet. We had him for the Red Sox in the Indians series. I love it. Great job, MLB. All right, so let's talk about the National League. Washington's there. Update on Harper. Heard Harper's not walking yet, so maybe Harper may not be back in the playoffs. He's got a month to figure that out. Kershaw just came back. Dodgers are 2-8 in the last 10 games. They lost 3 in a row. They got swept by the D-backs. I don't, if you're someone who hadn't paid attention to baseball all year, and then you decide, I'm gonna start paying attention to baseball 2 weeks ago, you would have said, okay, so the Dodgers and the D-backs are playing. Oh, the D-backs, they just destroyed the Dodgers, man. Maybe the D-backs, they're hot, man. Maybe they're better than these Dodgers. Maybe the Dodgers has been hot. No, shut the fuck up. The Dodgers are heads better than the D-backs. What happened was the D-backs are on a 10-game winning streak. D-backs have finally got out of this funk that they've been in all second half of the season, and the Dodgers have hit their first cold streak since the first of the year. They started 22-18, and then they won all those games in a row, went like 50-6 or something like that. And now they've lost, like I said, 8 out of the last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. They basically just got swept by the Padres. They got swept earlier in the week by Arizona. They do not look good at all right now. I don't really read much into it. They have Arizona today, another big series against Arizona. I'm sure that they're going to come out strong. They're going to want to end Arizona's little win streak that's going. News, Arizona is not going to catch the Dodgers, so you ain't got to worry about that. But Arizona has made their lead in the wild card a 6-game lead now, 6.5-game lead with this 10-game winning streak. Colorado has hit the dumps. They just got swept by by Arizona. So they were 2.5 games back. Now they're 6.5 games back for losing those 4 straight against Arizona. And my team of the year, the Milwaukee Brewers. Everybody wants to write them off. Everybody wants to talk about how they ain't gonna be there at the end of the year. Well, they're right here. They're half a game out on the Rockies. I remember a couple weeks ago they had a series against the Rockies. I think they won 2 out of 3 against them, and that's another reason that they're right here. St. Louis 3 games back. 2 games over 500. We'll still talk about them a little bit. Miami's 4-6 in their last 10. They're on a hot streak. They lost a couple games this weekend against Philadelphia. They lost some games during the week. They're on I think a 4-game losing streak. They're 2 games under 500. We can go ahead and start writing Miami off. Great job by Stanton in the last month. Good. They got a pretty good team for the future. This wasn't the year. So we're looking at about a 4-team race here in the NL. We're not going to write St. Louis off because they have their postseason. They're good. They're a pretty prestigious team. We're not going to write St. Louis off yet. And Milwaukee, I really want to see a Milwaukee Diamondback series. My thing about the Milwaukee is it's just like, why not? Why not Milwaukee? They got a pretty good offense, and then their pitchers. They got a 16-game winner in Kyle Davies, and then Jimmy Nelson. He's got over 10 wins this year too. Two good starting pitchers. Matt Garza, another veteran guy. I mean, they got a good closer too. I'm just wondering, what's going? I mean, why can't Milwaukee be one of the wild card teams? I've been pushing for it all year. They're half a game out now. This is a huge series, for them against the Reds. They can really propel themselves above Colorado, and maybe while they're trying to propel themselves above Colorado, maybe they might just pass up the fucking Cubs. So yeah, so you see the Cubs. The Cubs are 3.5 games up. They've won 7 out of the last 10. Pretty good. I see the Cubs winning this division, though, but I'm really pulling for Milwaukee. Now, the thing that really hurts me is I really love Colorado, and I really love the Brewers. When I say I love these teams, I'm talking about the players on them. I don't give a fuck about Milwaukee Brewers. I don't give a fuck about the Colorado Rockies organization. I love Charlie Blackmon. I love Nolan Arenado. Two of my favorite players in the league, so I want Colorado to be there. Colorado's pitching staff just doesn't have it, though. They hadn't played good enough in the second half. They started strong in the first half, and I see them continue to fade. Milwaukee has been balanced and consistent all year. Milwaukee, same thing here. Milwaukee won 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers last weekend. They won 2 out of 3 against Washington this weekend. They are playing good teams and winning. It's not like they're like Colorado where they beat up on all the shit teams, and then when they have to play a good team, they get destroyed. And when you talk about their record on the road, 33-33 on the road, 500 on the road, these teams, they're about the same on the road. I'm talking about Colorado and Milwaukee as they are at home. I'm pulling for Milwaukee. I don't know. Milwaukee, the reason I'm pulling for Milwaukee has been like my team that I kind of been like, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. Like, I kind of even said Milwaukee would win the division over the Cubs when I was at the All-Star break, because they were up 6 or 7 games, and they were just playing so consistent. And then out of the All-Star break, they got so cold and it was just ugly. But they're right here, 6-4 in the last 10, 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. I'm really pulling for Milwaukee to be in the playoffs this year in that 1-game playoff against Arizona.